In a world where the truth isn't always what it seems, four masters of real estate step forward to help put the E first in the word true. TREU. Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. And now, here's the Fantastic Four of Real Estate with their host, Tom Platania.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Thursday morning edition of Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. That's TREU Radio, TREU Radio, because we're putting the education first in the truth. Now, it's absolutely beautiful, beautiful day out today. I don't know if you guys have been. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. I tell you, where I live, it's got the pond with the little walkway around it, and I love just putting on my headphones and just walking and walking and walking. Put on that Pandora and just go.
Yeah,
and it's
definitely.
absolutely
It's a day to be basking in the sun.
Absolutely. This is the reason that I moved to Florida.
Absolutely.
The reason I moved to Florida. All right, well, we got a great show for you today. We have a great special guest coming up with us later on, but let's first introduce our wonderful realtors here with us. We have first, let's start the other side. I always, favor Mr. Andrew because he's sitting right next to me, and I of course also want to get him out of the way too. But Mr. Farouk Ali, good morning, young man.
Oh, good morning. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing good, young man. How about yourself?
Wonderful, wonderful. Actually, I'm so happy to be here again today with you guys.
Right.
We had a wonderful evening night before the last.
We did.
Yes.
Where we had a presentation.
Oh, that's right. It was award ceremony.
Award ceremony.
Yeah.
And it was a surprise to me because I'm really not keeping track of my stuff, and I was awarded a silver for individual production.
That was great.
4 months with the company.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, and I went back and looked at the email I had gotten, and they were asking for if you were with another company before to, include your production, and I didn't. Anybody want to say what that was, but it would have been right up there.
Good.
Good for
Yeah,
you.
so I didn't include my production outside of Keller Williams. That was
Right.
just with KW. But it's wonderful, and I'm really looking forward for my time with Keller Williams. So much to learn, so much to do.
It is.
And
Yes.
I'm catching up every day. It's something new, But it's
Sometimes
motivational, and I always
overwhelming.
keep saying it. Coming to Keller made me feel 10 years younger, and,
Yes.
and that's like my team right now. This 10-year younger thing,
Yeah.
So it's wonderful. It's great.
At
And
our
to
age,
be
10
with
years
you.
is good to be younger.
Yes,
right?
of course. Yes, at this point in time of my life, sure.
All right, and right next to him we have Mr. Scott McAllister.
How you doing today, Tom?
I'm doing good, my good man. How about you?
Oh, it's another day in paradise.
Isn't it,
my
though?
friend. I'm loving it.
How things going with you guys?
So busy I can't even keep track. But in this business, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
We're going a little crazy, but it's a good crazy.
Did you go to the award ceremony?
I did actually, and my mom won the cultural award, which just
Very
as
nice.
easily could have been won by Carol next to us because she does just as much for all
Right.
the projects. I think they just had to pick somebody, so
Right.
they honored my mom this year, which was really nice.
Well, I've won
Yeah,
it in the
that's good.
past, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. And then,
That's
of
really
course, the lovely lady of the group that kind of helps make us all look a little bit better.
Oh, really?
But
I think you all look great.
The flower among the thorns.
No, it's the rose amongst the thorns.
The rose, right.
How's that?
I take it back. I
Well, that
put you a
was
step
so
lower.
true.
That's right. I'm sorry.
that one is so true.
Good morning, Tom.
We have Miss Carol Morgan. How are you, young
I'm
lady?
good. How are you?
Beautiful, beautiful. And then next to her, we have, last but not least, we have Mr. Andrew Sesta. All
What's up, Tom?
dressed in debonair.
You were all dressed Floridian
this?
today, man.
You like this?
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Business casual.
Yes.
You like that?
Florida style.
Flip flops.
Can't be doing that up north.
No, definitely not. I would be just a little on the chilly side. I hear you have a new team member.
Yes, we just brought on a new waterfront and luxury home specialist, Laura Vinci.
Nice.
We worked together 10 years ago in the first company I started.
she
and,
wanted to come back.
Yeah, she actually wanted to come back. So, yeah, no, it's a real honor to have her working with me. We work together very well. She's very knowledgeable, and so it's going to be good. Our team's growing every day.
Beautiful.
So
It's amazing what money and Xanax can do to bring somebody back. All right. Well, what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to start ourselves a little segment of the show. Now, typically this segment is going to be after our first break. But what we want to do is we want to, we're here to educate you on real estate and buying and selling and investing and what's going on and bringing all kinds of incredible partners that are with us, like House Masters is going to be joining us after the break. But we also want to kind of let you know what specifically is going on around town in the real estate business. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a new segment called Hot Around Town. So what we're going to do is we're going to go talk to our agents, and we're going to say, hey, what's hot around town with the real estate business? Do we have any open houses? Do we have any big sales going on? Do we have any maybe new real estate coming to town? And, like we talked a couple weeks ago about the Costco's coming to town, which is going to be good. So I say I just go around and we'll kind of go backwards this time. We'll start with Andrew. And hey, what's hot around town, Andrew?
Well, I chose one of the listings that we just reduced, and to piggyback off of our conversation last week about buy versus rent, and this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. I have a listing in Port St. Lucie on Walters Terrace. It's 501 Walters. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,700 square feet, which is ample. It's on a corner lot, beautiful, beautiful lot. I mean, it's turnkey on the inside. You could just move right in, and we just reduced that to 129.
Oh wow!
So it's a really good deal.
Yeah, that's definitely a house that you could not rent.
Right.
For more
I had Chris run some numbers this morning for me for the show, and principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, you're about $890 a month.
Oh Jesus!
And that house would typically rent for about $1,200.
How many square foot is it?
1,700 square feet.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get a condo or anything like that for it. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's a great deal. We just had an open house last week. Was very successful, and was still on the market.
Beautiful, beautiful. Carol, how about you? You have any open houses or?
No, I don't have an open house this weekend. I'm kind of laying back on the open houses. The kids are out of school right now, so
Okay.
I just felt that probably this weekend was not a great week. But
Yeah,
I
I
do
know
have
last week it wasn't.
No, last week wasn't
I had an
either.
open house last weekend, and I mean I put my signs up, and there was nobody around there. Then when I go to pick my signs up around 4 o'clock, it was downtown Jensen Beach, and they had the bagpipe band playing on the corner. I mean, it was like fighting cats trying to get in just to pick up the sign. It was horrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it was fun, but it was for an open house. It definitely wasn't the weekend.
So usually I typically, when the kids are out of school for the holiday breaks, I don't do the open houses. But
Which is
yeah,
next week, I think, for Martin County, right?
from Martin County and
yeah.
St. Lucie, I believe. I believe Palm Beach is out this week.
Oh, okay. Spring
So
break.
the
yep.
spring break is
Oh,
starting. The college
it's starting
kids are gonna
already.
Be, oh yes.
Oh, jeez.
Oh yes.
Uh-oh.
But yes, I have a great listing at 309 Navy Street, Port St. Lucie. It's in the highly sought-after South Bend area.
Nice.
It's a 3-bedroom with a den. The house is on the small side. It's only about 1,300 square feet. So therefore the bedrooms aren't that large.
But that
it's a
pool
great
makes
family.
up for it.
Oh, the pool is amazing.
I've been there.
It has a wonderful pool, 50-foot lanai off the pool, all screen enclosure. And the nice thing is it's on a large lot, plus it's across the street from the Justin McClintock Park.
Oh yeah.
So great place to live, and the serenity there is wonderful. And we've got that listed at 139.
Yeah, and that's a
And-
nice little home. I was in that, and it's very well kept. It's same
It is.
owner.
It is turnkey perfect. I mean, there's nothing in that house that needs to be done. Somebody can walk in there tomorrow and bring their furniture and be very happy.
Beautiful, beautiful. Mr. Scott, how about you, young man?
Well, yeah, keeping on the turnkey theme we've been talking about here, we have a great listing in Mariner Sands and the golf community.
That's a nice little area.
It's if somebody is into golf and that's part of their life, this is the place to be in Stewart. It's absolutely fantastic. 2 great golf courses. They've got 8 hard true tennis courts. The house is completely turnkey. The guy even told me, he's like, hey, everything's negotiable except my dog.
Notice you didn't say the wife.
I didn't ask him about that one, but it's an absolute. He put in every custom upgrade. He's a tinker. He's a man who loves to constantly upgrade his house. Every single upgrade and the best of
Wow.
everything you could think in there. It's listed at $299, and if
Say what?
at
Wow,
$299
great price.
In Mariner Sands.
Mariner Sands.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's at absolutely every custom detail, and like I said, it's a place for if golf is your life, Mariner Sands is a place to live.
Yeah,
You
that's
just
gonna
have to
be-
remember, though, that lifestyle in there is totally geared to the person who is the outdoor person, whether
Absolutely.
it be bocce ball, tennis,
Yeah, you're right.
golf. They do have a small buy-in equity there, but hey, it's marginal compared to what a lot of these other golf courses are
Now,
out there today.
explain about, before we go to Farouk, explain what is a buy-in equity?
Well, a lot of when you go into these communities, you have to have a one-time initial contribution.
Okay.
A lot of times, a large portion of that is refundable upon sale.
Okay.
But that depends on the community, and you want to double check that. But anytime you're going into any of these gated golf communities, that's an important question to ask: is what the equity buy-ins are, what your fees are, because it's very important to think about that in addition to the price of the
Now,
home.
where's that money going to typically?
That's going to that's what pays for the club,
Right.
it pays for all the services.
Clubs, the golf course.
And that's a yearly fee?
There's
No,
a one-time
one-time.
fee,
Okay.
and then there are yearly fees on top of that.
Okay.
And it's the kind of thing that if you're not going to use the thing, if you're not going to use any of the facilities, then there's no point. But
Right.
if you are a person, I mean, you can get every dollar out of that. You go to the social clubs. They have Twilight Golf. They get together on Thursdays and do 9 holes, and then go to the 19th hole, and spend time. So I could get into
I
a
spend
lifestyle
more time
like
at the
that.
19th than the 18th.
I'll meet you at the 19th.
Yeah, right. Have fun playing the 18.
There we go.
I'll be
It's
here
a
waiting.
very active community, so if you're socially inclined besides to play golf, it's
Right.
a great place to live.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, Mr. Farouk, what's hot around town for you?
Well, this is real hot because I just took it last night. It's in Fort Pierce actually, and it's a 3-bedroom with a very large Florida room,
nice.
completely renovated.
Nice.
It's got a new AC, air handle as well as the outside
Nice,
unit.
nice.
Hot water, new appliances, new kitchen, new tiles.
Wow.
Completely, it was totally gutted and redone. 129.9.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, 129.9. It's unbelievable. This unit shows very, very.
It's in
nice.
Fort Pierce?
Fort Pierce. It's right off of Lawnwood Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Oh,
Which
Oh,
that's not a bad little day. That's
Yeah.
not a bad area up
The
there.
address is 1712 Wyoming
Okay.
Okay.
Avenue.
Yeah, good. It's
It's not
too-
on the MLS yet, but it'll be there today.
I might have somebody for that.
Awesome. Good,
So,
good.
so you heard it here before on Hot Around Town on TREU Radio before it's out for the public to look
That's
at.
right.
And for those people listening, if you don't know what the MLS is that's the multiple listing service, which is where we actually as realtors are able to kind of share your home with all the other realtors. You think about it when you're selling a home for somebody, the homeowner may think, well, I just have one realtor working for me, but no. You have every single solitary realtor that is on that MLS working for you. So it could
That's
be
correct.
you hire one, you're basically hiring 3,000 possible other agents because they're going to pull it up, they're going to see the house, and they're going to show their client. So and that's one of the big things about not doing the what you call the FSBO, the for sale by owners, is you got one person working. You got to worry about scheduling the appointments and dealing with the contracts and for what? And based on all the statistics I've been reading, they end up getting less money for the house than the realtor would have.
Did you happen to see my Facebook post yesterday? That article where the guy that owns that for sale by owner website just sold his Manhattan apartment and he used a realtor to sell it.
Because he's smart.
Yeah, so that's going in my listing presentation, but I put it on
that.
Facebook yesterday.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take our first quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by John McVean with House Masters, who's going to tell us, well, is getting a home inspection just a necessary evil, or is it a way that could potentially save you thousands of dollars in the long run? You're listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. We'll be right back.
Are you selling your home, wondering how you're ever going to move all your belongings? Well, don't wonder. Call the trusted moving professionals from Mr. Small Move. Their staff of full-time movers are ready to take the stress out of your next move. Mr. Small Move will safely pack, move, then place and assemble your belongings at your new location. So if you're moving, call the trusted professionals at Mr. Small Move. For a free estimate, call 283-5540. That's 772-283-5540 for Mr. Small Move. Dramatic change invites invigorating new energy. Let Decorating Den Interiors create a dramatic change in your home's decor. They'll create a look that's important to you. Begin your home's gorgeous transformation by calling Decorating Den Interiors on the Treasure Coast at 692-8589. Visit their waterfront design studios on Southeast Osceola Street, downtown Stuart, and online at stewartdecorator.com. Customer service and great rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Remember, everyone's just one torrential downpour away from a flood. And with rates as low as $129 per year, why would you not get coverage? Call 772-233-4444 or email flood@atlanticinsurance.us and save hundreds on all your insurance needs. That's 772-233-4444, 233-4444 for Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Every 13 seconds, a home intrusion is committed in the United States, with property loss totals in the billions. Take action today to prevent it from happening to you with ADT, protecting homes and businesses for more than 136 years. Protect Security is your authorized ADT dealer on the Treasure Coast. Call Richard Stratman today at 772-708-2691. Protect Security and ADT, offering peace of mind security 24/7. Call today, Protect Security, 708-2691. Has a recent foreclosure, bankruptcy, or short sale spoiled your credit? Fidelity Funding may be able to help. Their hometown lenders are specially trained to work with your credit history to find the perfect loan program and get you back on track. Even if credit is no problem, Fidelity Funding offers many dynamic loan programs. Call Fidelity Funding on the Treasure Coast at 772-237-5211. They work day in and out with realtors in your community to find you the house you love. Call 237-5211 for Fidelity Funding. When you buy a home without a housemaster inspection, things can break down without warning. When things break down without warning, you get angry. When you get angry, you may commit acts of random violence. When you commit acts of random violence, you could do hard time. Don't do hard time. Call Housemaster for your home inspection needs. 772-336-2111, or visit them on the web, stlucy.housemaster.com.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. That's TREU Radio, here with the Fantastic Four Real Estate, Andrew Sesta, Farouk Ali, Scott McAllister, and the lovely Carol Morgan. And if you're just tuning in, you missed our Hot Around Town. So don't forget that every week we're going to have the Hot Around Town segment right after our first break, which would actually come right now. But because we have an absolute special guest with us this morning on the phone, we have John McVean with Housemasters. John, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, young man?
Hey, we're doing fine, doing just great. Another day out in sunny South Florida.
Absolutely. Hey, how are your sleepless nights going?
Listen, sleep, I'll get that in 18 years. No worries.
John and his beautiful wife, Elaine, just had a baby. And what's your baby's name?
It's Cameron Pierce.
Cameron Pierce. Yeah,
Nice.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's your first?
That is my third.
Oh, okay. So you're old hat.
He'll be suited up for inspections in 16 years. No problem.
Unless the labor laws change.
Right, but that would be 14 years.
Right now, you got a special backpack that you strap them on your back, carry them around the house, right?
Absolutely correct.
Awesome. Well, I know our realtors have all kinds of great questions for you, but the first question I'm going to ask is, John, how'd you get into the business?
It's funny. 19 years ago, down in Fort Lauderdale, just by happenstance, ran into the owner-operator of the Housemaster franchise down there. We hit it off immediately, just loved his family, and worked for them for a good 7 years, and loved the company so much, I bought my own franchise in 2001.
Very nice. Now, they have pretty strict standards, I'm assuming?
Oh, absolutely. A pretty significant vetting process. At the time, I was the youngest guy in Housemaster franchise history to have his own office.
Oh,
when
wow.
I did get my, absolutely.
Wonderful. So now, with realtors, when you guys are out there, obviously, at what point in time do you talk about or do you bring in the recommendation or a house inspection? When do you talk to your client about that?
When do we talk about
Yeah,
it?
when do you talk to your client about that?
Well, when you go under contract, of course, you're going to always mention it and say, to my best knowledge, I always recommend a home inspection. There are people that say, well, do we really need that? Yeah, you really do need that.
Is it mandatory?
No.
Oh, house inspections are not mandatory.
No.
Oh, see, I thought that they were. Now, even if you have a loan or a mortgage or anything like that?
Well, sometimes on a mortgage, especially if you're doing FHA.
Uh-huh.
On a conventional, you can get away without having it. But the buyer has to sign off on that.
Wow. But, I mean, I couldn't see, especially some of the houses, and I haven't been in this long, but some of the houses I've looked at, I mean, you'd be insane not to have a home inspection, huh?
Without a doubt. It's funny. The average customer or home buyer is going to pick up on secondary issues, but the key is what caused the secondary issue, and that's where a good veteran inspector comes into play. You may see a ceiling stain, and we see the flashing directly above it on the roof. That's the cause or source of the ceiling stain.
Okay.
So absolutely, it should be mandatory. Of course, I'd like that, but they're not.
It's probably because none of the politicians are able to make any money off of it yet, but once they figure out how to do that.
Got a good lobbyist out there?
Yeah, right?
Right.
Once they figure out how to do that. Now, your inspections, what do people need to do to recognize them? What do you need to do to meet the recognized standards for inspections?
Well, it's funny. 6 years ago, I would have placed a heavy reliance upon trade association membership, ASHI, FABI, and that stands for American Society of Home Inspectors, Florida Association of Building Inspectors. Fortunately, Florida, about 6 years ago, got around to state licensure, and that's been wonderful for the industry because you do have some measure of equal footing across the board as far as minimum education requirements. If I'm a consumer out there vetting home inspection companies, I would like to see trade association membership simply because that is a great way to obtain continuing education. Building science is constantly evolving, and the inspector's knowledge base needs to evolve with that.
Right.
So you're saying as an inspector now, you actually do have to be licensed.
Absolutely.
And that started when?
That was, I believe, 2010, 2009, 2010. That came into play. In fact, all your state licensed home inspectors are up for renewal come July of this year. So you'll see a mad scrambling of guys going and getting their continuing education. I like to think I'm ahead of the curve, and I've already done that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I actually saw in 2010 there was we're doing my other radio show. I was in contact with multiple home inspection companies trying to find the right one that I felt suited to be on my show. And when you say that now, and it all became mandatory, I noticed that a lot of them closed up shop. When it became mandatory for them to get licensed. So that must say a lot about them.
Hi, John. This is Farouk. How are you?
Good morning, Farouk. I'm great, thank you. And yourself?
Good, thanks. I want to give you a plug here, man. And for the listeners out there, us realtors, one of the things we let them know is that they have the free choice of choose, whichever home inspection company they would like to use. Obviously, when I came to Florida and I saw that there was a House Masters here and I reached out to you, I was so happy because I've been using House Masters in New York. And one of the things I like about them is that they provide a nice package. In those days was DVDs, VHS tapes, that's
What's
what
that?
they were giving. It was like a cassette. You put it in a player, and so they give you that stuff and shows you, what you got. And John does that as well. But most importantly, every one of my buyers, before we actually start looking at properties, I let them know that's the best money that they would ever spend in the process of buying a home. And John, I have to thank you again. I just recently one of my buyers out in the Middle East, new construction. And when I told him, I says, we should still do a home inspection on this thing. He says, but, I just spent nearly $600,000 on this home, and it's a builder. Why do I need to? I said, well, think about the other $400 you're going to spend to compare to the $600,000 you spend in order to purchase this home.
Yeah.
And at the last minute, I got John and Elaine together, and he was able to send one of his guys out to Olympia down in Wellington. And sure enough, we had the inspection done. Guy did a great job, and we still found things that needed to get fixed.
Definitely.
You know, so for people listening, even if you're buying a new construction, don't feel that you don't need to do a home inspection. You certainly do.
Right.
You know,
And the key to that with Housemasters, which is what I like, it's third party.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't matter to John and his team whether he finds nothing or finds $1 million worth of work to be done. He doesn't benefit one penny from that inspection, right, John?
That is absolutely correct. We have no vested interest in the sale or purchase or repair of real property. And that's the definition of a home inspector, quite honestly. Third party, impartial.
Good morning, John. This is Carol. I just want to thank you for the inspection you did for me last week. We are actually closing it tomorrow.
Congratulations,
great.
Carol.
All right, good job.
Great job. It was a great job, well done. It's an older house over in Duckwood, and John was very thorough. The people were very satisfied. Did a great job as usual, but I've been using John for a lot of years, so.
So tell me a little bit about your process, John. A realtor contacts you up, or who typically calls you originally?
It's you know what, a great question. It's really a 50-50 split. Many times we'll have the agent call in with some specific data about the home that the buyer in many cases isn't privy to, and it's how we generate our fee schedule. But ultimately, every booking should result in touching base with the number one person, the client, the home buyer, explaining the process, going over the potential services that they might need or want. And of course, for my company specifically, it's an a la carte. We obviously bundle the termite inspection, or what you would know as a wood destroying organism inspection, with all of our home inspections, and that's just one of my policies. I'm a Florida native. I feel like having a good WDO inspection pretty dadgum important. But then we put on the table all the additional services that they might want to have, like a pool inspection, a wind mitigation, a 4-point inspection, an air test, septic inspections. And we allow the customer, and we educate and inform them, and allow them to make decisions as to what type of ancillary services they may want to have ordered in conjunction with the home inspection.
Hi, John. It's Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Just fine, thanks.
Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you. I did a lot of work there.
Yes, you did. Also want to thank you for servicing my customers for the past 10 years. Your company's done a great job.
Thank you.
Just want to touch base on what was mentioned earlier about being mandatory. Can you explain to people the 4-point inspection and how that could be mandatory in their insurance, obtaining insurance, as well as the wind mitigation?
Absolutely. And I think they call that a lead-in right there. You just led me right to where I want to go. The 4-point inspection and the wind mitigation are specifically known as insurance inspections. Now, a 4-point inspection is an insurance inspection that's actually required on homes that are older than 30 years of age. It's required to actually bind a policy. Whereas a wind mitigation is an inspection of the home, and basically we are keying in on the hardness of this home against windstorm or hurricane. And what the wind mitigation will do is actually bring your premiums in line with the nature of the construction of the home, i.e., if you have a newer roof, if you have a 8-penny nailing pattern on the sheathing down to the trusses, if you have the proper connectivity of the trusses to the top plate or bond beam of the wall, you will see real discounts in your insurance premium. So again, 4-point, pretty much required on those 30-plus-year-old homes. Wind mitigation, I would say that if you're buying a home that is older than 2004 built, you're probably going to want to have a wind mitigation to take advantage of some of those potential discounts that are out there for you.
I'll tell you, Tom, I had John do a wind mitigation on the townhouse I purchased last year. My quotes were $3,100 a year. After John did his wind mitigation, went down to $1,100 a year.
Just because of that?
Just because of the wind mitigation. So
that was money well spent.
Yes, very much so.
And what if somebody just wanted you to come out and do a wind mitigation? Is it different per house, John?
No, actually, right now we have flat rate pricing on standalone wind mitigation. We're looking at $125. Now, when we do a wind mitigation in conjunction with a home inspection as part of the pre-purchase, we actually give them a substantial discount of $50 off that wind mitigation. So we're actually performing that wind mitigation for $75.
Nice.
And just a little point of education here for your listeners out there. Oftentimes we get calls into the office and we explain the wind mitigation, and the response is, I don't have shutters, so I don't need a wind mitigation. Let me be crystal clear. The real discounts are going to be in the roof and in the attic, because I believe in, and I think this is very good, good policy on the underwriter's part. They are more concerned about that roof being peeled off than how pretty those windows are after the hurricane event.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, do not for one second think that just because you don't have shutters, you shouldn't have a wind mitigation. There are other much more important aspects of the building construction that they're looking for in the wind mitigation.
And that was a great return on investment. 125, you said?
Yeah.
$125, and you save
$2,000.
$2,000 a year.
A year. Yeah.
Okay, I want those Vegas odds all
Yes,
day long.
Good morning, John. This is Scott.
Good morning.
How you doing, my friend?
Oh, hey, another day in paradise.
I've got a little lead in for you, but this is because I have a personal anecdote about this. But would you please tell us about your warranty?
Absolutely. And let me first be very clear. Not anything that's required by state licensing and state standards and practices, and most assuredly not required by any of the well-known trade associations and their standards of practices. But Housemaster does give a limited 90-day repair guarantee with every full home inspection. And what that guarantee is meant to do is provide some peace of mind to the home buyer that their inspector isn't going to have a bad day on their inspection. Now, listen, we've all woken up on the wrong side of the bed once or twice in our life. But the reality is when you go out there and do an inspection, and we do feel like it's a very important part of the process, we want to be able to give our customers good, viable information. So our guarantee actually is applicable to the major house systems that we rate as satisfactory. And if a defect arises within the time frame, and it's actually 90 days or 120 days, depending on where your closing falls, we're actually responsible for the repair of that unit minus the $95 service fee. Now, bear in mind, we call it a guarantee because warranties and insurance are generally bought in addition to a product or service. We are, again, giving this as part of our home inspection.
Wow.
And it's really designed to be a consumer value.
Give me a specific example, if you would, John.
Unfortunately, I could give you more than one or two.
Well, I actually have one.
Oh, okay.
I actually do have one. That's why I brought
I
it
don't
up.
want to steal his thunder.
No, but Housemasters did an inspection for our team, and they always do a great job. But there was something that was missed on a motor, or the motor burnt out. It was just not, it happens. But it was within the warranty period, and they came out and they took care of it. And I had clients that were angry, turned around, and were very, very happy because of that.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah.
So it works.
So basically, we're saying let's say an air conditioner, maybe, John. Mm-hmm. Would that be?
Oh, absolutely. Eligibility is going to run the gamut from roofing to heating and cooling units to interior electrical panels to water heaters to plumbing.
Wow.
To built-in kitchen appliances. So, I had over the Thanksgiving holiday, we had some pretty significant rains for a dry season. Had a client out in the PGA, an area of flashing opened up, and it wasn't there at the time of the inspection. But the reality is there was no debate about it. We had rated the roof covering, and the flashing was satisfactory. Within a week, I had my roofer out there fixing my customer up. They were just pleased as punch. So it happens. It's the nature of the business, but I feel like a good business that's going to be around for a long time needs to develop a pool of happy customers, and that's one way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just that few dollars that you did have to give up there is going to keep your reputation. It's going to keep them happy and keep everybody else happy. So, John, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a minute. So hold on just a second. We have John McVean with Housemasters kind of running us through the details of why you really should have a home inspection and find somebody like John and Housemasters that you can trust. You're listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. We'll be right back.
Customer service, and great rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Remember, everyone's just one torrential downpour away from a flood. And with rates as low as $129 per year, why would you not get coverage? Call 772-233-4444 or email flood@atlanticinsurance.us and save hundreds on all your insurance needs. That's 772-233-4444, 233-4444 for Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Every 13 seconds, a home intrusion is committed in the United States, with property loss totals in the billions. Take action today to prevent it from happening to you with ADT, protecting homes and businesses for more than 136 years. Protect Security is your authorized ADT dealer on the Treasure Coast. Call Richard Stratman today at 772-708-2691. Protect Security and ADT, offering peace of mind security 24/7. Call today, Protect Security, 708-2691. Has a recent foreclosure, bankruptcy, or short sale spoiled your credit? Fidelity Funding may be able to help. Their hometown lenders are specially trained to work with your credit history to find the perfect loan program and get you back on track. Even if credit is no problem, Fidelity Funding offers many dynamic loan programs. Call Fidelity Funding on the Treasure Coast at 772-237-5211. They work day in and out with realtors in your community to find you the house you love. Call 237-5211 for Fidelity Funding. Are you selling your home? Wondering how you're ever going to move all your belongings? Well, don't wonder. Call the trusted moving professionals from Mr. Small Move. Their staff of full-time movers are ready to take the stress out of your next move. Mr. Small Move will safely pack, move, then place and assemble your belongings at your new location. So if you're moving, call the trusted professionals at Mr. Small Move. For a free estimate, call 283-5540. That's 772-283-5540 for Mr. Small Move. Dramatic change invites invigorating new energy. Let Decorating Den Interiors create a dramatic change in your home's decor. They'll create a look that's important to you. Begin your home's gorgeous transformation by calling Decorating Den Interiors on the Treasure Coast at 692-8589. Visit their waterfront design studios on Southeast Osceola Street, downtown Stuart, and online at stewartdecorator.com. When you buy a home without a housemaster inspection, things can break down without warning. When things break down without warning, you get angry. When you get angry, you may commit acts of random violence. When you commit acts of random violence, you could do hard time. Don't do hard time. Call Housemaster for your home inspection needs. 772-336-2111 or visit them on the web stlucy.housemaster.com.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
All right, welcome back to TREU Radio, Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platini, your host, with Andrew Sesta, Carol Morgan, Scott McAllister, Farouk Ali. And you heard we have Housemasters on the air with us here, joining us. In the phone number, if you'd like to find out how you could spend maybe only $125 and potentially save thousands, like Andrew Sesta did on his homeowner's insurance, you want to give John and his team a call at 772-336-2111. And that's 336-2111. Or you can, what was that website again, John?
You can go to www.stlucie.housemaster.com.
There we go. Beautiful. And I see here also a licensed mold assessor.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Now that is huge. In fact, I'm dealing with a house in Tequesta right now that an air conditioning company, I do load and energy calculations for the construction industry, and an air conditioning company came in and without doing a proper load calc, they oversized the system by almost a whole ton. And now she's got mold and everything growing in her house. So she contracted me to redo everything, the load calcs, to determine what she needed. So that's something that you would go into and examine?
Absolutely, and of course, for your listeners out there, what that meant for this particular individual is that we weren't getting probably enough runtime on that air conditioning system.
That's it.
My understanding is about a quarter of the tonnage of that system is actually going to be utilizing dehumidification in the home, and as we know, obviously, a happy home is a home with a humidity level underneath 65, 60%.
Yep. That's it, 40 to 60%. And when I design the homes, when I design the air conditioning systems, 50% relative humidity is what is the design percentage. And then each location has its weather data, whether it's 90, 91, 92 degrees. And believe it or not, like Orlando and Daytona and whatnot, you think that that's farther north, they actually have hotter temperatures.
They do.
For the weather data than we do down here in Miami and West Palm, which is only like 90, 91 degrees for your high temperature.
Why? Because they're using more heat?
No, it's because it's where it's located. We're farther down south. We actually have a more breeze. It's a little, believe it or not. And what it does is it takes a range of all the temperatures and then takes basically like a percentage of the amount of time. Okay, yeah, it may get up to 96 degrees, but what is that for an hour out of the entire year? So it calculates those things. And to John's point, that's exactly what that is the air conditioner runs so quickly. It drops the temperature, but it does nothing to remove moisture. And that's what an air conditioning system does. It doesn't cool the house. It takes the air. It takes the heat out of the air along with the moisture and puts the air back into the home. And that's where it actually is just removing heat. It's not cooling. So when you don't run it long enough, you don't have a chance for that system to dehumidify the home. So then what happens is, we hear in Florida, and then if it's not right, then you're sucking in all kinds of outside air with 80, 90% relative humidity. And that moisture, John, from being a mold assessor, is you need three things for mold to grow. What are those?
Well, we need, one of them is going to be water.
Yep.
We need food. And food generally in construction, drywall, completely a cellulose-based product. And, when you put those two things together with some high humidity, you've got some nice organic growth cooking, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. So
without a doubt.
So that's
ironically enough, the lower humidity levels allow you to keep temperatures maybe a shade higher because your body is reacting to the lower humidity levels, and it creates a higher level of comfort, ironically enough.
Yep, that's it. Moisture, with a higher humidity, it's just moisture on your skin. So your body doesn't have a chance to breathe because the moisture's adhered to your skin. So as we reduce the humidity in the room, the moisture on our skin actually evaporates off, allowing us to feel cooler. So you can actually feel 2 to 3 degrees cooler at a higher temperature, which equates to a percentage for every 1 degree in air conditioning. So it's having them come out, just to do the home inspection itself. Because you guys can take a look. You don't necessarily need a full-fledged licensed air conditioning guy to do a whole house inspection, and for John to tell you that, hey, you might want to consider taking a look at this thing.
John, I have a question for you. So many times we've been out in inspections and we see that the inspector will say that something doesn't pass in the house because it is not brought up to code as of today. I've had that happen more and more, and I watched you explain to my client last week what these items were and why you had to put them on your charts. They didn't pass. So many inspectors out there dwell on this, but when the houses were built at the time they were code, where they are not today, tell us, what does that mean basically to a home buyer?
Oh, absolutely. And understand, for us here on the Treasure Coast, so many of our customers are coming from other areas of the country where there are actually different regulations, different requirements at the time of a real sale of property. For us here locally, when a system is replaced, changed out, we now need to be in adherence with the code requirement at the time of the change out. Whereas if we walk into that 1970s home and we have, we don't have ground fault protection at outlets in the kitchen and maybe at some of these other unique locations, well, if they haven't updated the electric, technically there isn't the requirement for ground fault protection. Now, let's be clear. It's a wonderful idea. We're always going to recommend it in the report. We all joke about ground, and it's all real funny and ha until you become it, because then you've had a bad day. So that's a great example of that. With roofing, that's another great instance. Obviously, when we're putting on a new roof, we want to become compliant with the codes of the time of when that roof was redone. And that's ironically something that we see rather frequently because, as you guys know, the hurricane season of 04-05, we had a lot of roofers that were not local to us. They were not well versed in the building code, and so you'll see many roofs that are new, but unfortunately they don't have a new nailing pattern. They have the old 20 years previous type nailing pattern for the sheathing. Reality is in a real estate transaction here in Florida, the home is required to be up to date with the code of the year that it was built, again, unless there has been material changes to particular systems or components. Now, to play the devil's advocate, this is very much different from New York, where in many cases when you're selling this home, you're required to bring it up to date with the code of the time of sale.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And obviously this can put a hitch in things if you're selling a 1930s farmhouse and you're selling it in 2010. There's been a few code updates since then.
Wow. So
You have to be compliant.
Wow. So they would have to redo electrical and everything.
Right.
And this is very hard for our customers. If we look in the Housemaster Rolodex of customers over the years, a good 30 to 40% of my clients are coming from the Northeast and the Rust Belt, without a doubt. And certainly they're coming with preconceived notions of how things are supposed to be done based on their past experiences. So it's just key that the inspector understands what's going on here locally, help them put them at ease. Listen, it's never a bad idea to update a system. We would never deny or refute that. But at the same time, there are certain requirements that need to be followed, and education's the key, just like in everything.
Now, to some of those points, John, some of these bigger things, okay, say the house is 20 years old and the roof was redone 5 years ago, let's say, but let's say when it was done 5 years ago, it still wasn't done to the codes that were standard at that 5-year time. Is there probably a pretty good chance that there weren't permits and stuff pulled on that project?
When we talk about the chronology of 9 years ago and the Francis and Jean event, we probably find as many roofs replaced in that time frame with permits as we do those without permits.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, this was a very rough time for the Treasure Coast. We were in the midst of a building boom. We had building departments across the Treasure Coast that were really stretched very thin. And we had a need that was essentially region-wide, and that need was viable roof coverings to protect these homes from water intrusion. And so there was some, specifically in St. Lucie County, there were some municipalities that said, do what you need to do to protect your investment, which was a very wise thing. I understand that. Unfortunately, you have home buyers dealing with the ramifications of this when they talk about their wind mitigation in the here and present. I personally, if you were to ever pull up my property, I don't have any work done without having it permitted. For me, permitting is a way to have a second set of eyes looking at the contractor that's working on your home.
That's it.
These guys with the building departments are very well trained. They're up to speed with their education in CEUs, and quite honestly, it's a very viable process. And when you go to sell that home, I think it does give a certain measure of comfort, not only to the home buyer, but certainly the home inspector that sees a gaggle of permits pulled on a property has a little bit of a measure of comfort with the diligence of the seller in the manner in which they're upkeeping their home.
Right, absolutely.
Hi, John, it's Farouk. Do you do commercial inspections as well?
I have one on my schedule for Monday.
Awesome.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay.
We will do commercial inspections up to 4 stories. Beyond that, we're getting out of our licensing and, more importantly, our professional liability coverage. We happen to be one of those strange companies here in Florida that carries professional liability, but it does put limits on the structures which we may inspect.
All right. Well, John, I tell you, I want to really we have John from Housemasters here with us. I want to thank you so very much for being on the show with us. And remember, if you want to contact John to find out, how you can have a home inspection, and you never know, you may find something that could save you thousands of dollars in general or $1,000 on your homeowner's insurance. You want to give John and his team a call at 772-336-2111. That's 336-2111. And John, I want to thank you so very much, and please give our best to the lovely missus and the little baby.
Thank you guys so much, and happy home buying.
Awesome. I appreciate
Thanks,
it, John.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, hey, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to go to, we have TREU Radio. You can go to our Facebook page, our Twitter page. If you, some of you folks out there like to do that, please like us. Please go to Twitter and follow us. Please go to that. But let's not forget, we're going to end our show with our Zig Ziglar quote of the day. You are at the top when you have made friends with your past, are focused on the present, and are optimistic about your future. Thanks for listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platania with Farouk Ali, Carol Morgan, Scott McAllister, Andrew Sesta. We'll see you next Thursday right here on Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed.